everybody. Welcome to our 10th episode of Elevate Charlotte. Welcome, Dr. Granstra and Kay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So please give a brief description of yourself for introduction.
Sure. I'm Brian Granstra. I'm the Director of Career and Technical Education for Charlotte County Public Schools. I've been in this role for about 2 years. And then prior to that, I was in Lee County for 17 years as a coordinator of adult and career ed, and amongst other titles there. Originally from Michigan, graduated from Central Michigan University, then graduate work over at Nova Southeastern.
Wow.
Great.
And what about you?
I'm Kay Tracy, the Director of the Charlotte County Economic Development Office. I've been doing this for about 20 years and came from the staffing industry originally. And before that, graduated from the University of Wisconsin, Stevens Point.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. So you work with Charlotte County Public Schools, you work with Charlotte County Economic Development.
Mm-hmm.
And what I wanted to explore today was the intersection of the two, how the schools are working with economic development to do what? What is the goal?
Well, with our program, our career and technical education program, we want to prepare our students for high-paying jobs in the future. We also want to grow the economy of Charlotte County, and our partnership with the Economic Development Office is crucial for identifying the programs we need to add in Charlotte County and programs to enhance that we currently have in Charlotte County. We all need to be working together to create a talent pipeline or a workforce that grows and helps our current businesses and attract new businesses to Charlotte County.
Okay, and the Charlotte County Economic Development Office takes employment, real data from our employers in our area, our community, and we funnel it through, and it translates to what our strategy is going to be. And we work very closely with the school district to determine what our next steps are to help our employers in the area.
Do you feel like this is something that's unique to Charlotte County, or have you come across this in other school systems or counties, et cetera?
What's unique to Charlotte County is the unified approach we have in the various levels of government and the various players in the scene, and that has helped our efforts in strengthening our current programs and attracting new funds, whether it be grants or state appropriations, to help our programs succeed. That's a unique thing in Charlotte County, and it's going to help us grow in the future.
You agree that it's unique to Charlotte County?
From what I'm gathering, yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I've heard that too several times from all different kind of people that I've come across, that it is very unique how unified we are as a county with all the different.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so for those of us in the audience who don't know what CTE is, can you give us a brief overview of what that would be?
So CTE stands for Career and Technical Education. These are your high school and post-secondary courses that prepare students for the workforce. These classes could include like the trades, like construction, electricity, HVAC, medical programs. You have CNA, MA, medical assisting. We also have like our aviation programs at the airport, our automotive programs, IT, including our new programs which we're launching this year. We have advanced manufacturing at Port Charlotte High School. And then 26, 27, we'll be launching advanced manufacturing at the airport, our new campus. We just secured 10 acres of land in the ECAP area to launch a new campus for Charlotte Technical College, which will include advanced manufacturing, CNC, and welding. And so those are the type of programs we offer. And also Charlotte High, we are building right now as we speak an aerospace hangar for our aviation assembly and fabrication program. And that's in conjunction to our hangar at the airport we're building for our post-secondary FAA airframe and power plant mechanic program. Unless someone can correct me or prove me wrong, we're probably the only school district in the world building 2 airplane hangars at the same time.
That's impressive. I didn't know that.
Okay, if I may add that right now Charlotte County is experiencing rapid growth, and we have a looming retirement wave coming, and we know that. And this type of a relationship with our school district is mission critical for this community. We have got to get our arms around what our businesses need and what the future is going to bear for our children coming up through the systems, and also to attract new workforce into our area. This is absolutely critical that we have a relationship like we do with Charlotte County schools.
I know some of these programs are newer, but have you been able to experience success stories with students? For example, a student who maybe came in, or and got an amazing job, or through one of these amazing programs.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite stories to share with our program at Charlotte Technical College, the FAA approved airframe power plant mechanic program. Last year, we had 4 students graduate, 19 years old. All 4 got hired by GE, making $75,000 a year.
Wow.
These are 4 students without any college loans or debt. Most of them paid $0 out of pocket with their financial aid, and now their starting pay is $75,000. And many of these jobs, their starting pay is just the beginning point. They'll have raises, they'll have overtime, bonuses, you name it. And we're putting our students on a path to high-paying jobs. And when it comes to all of our programs, our existing and new programs, we want to make sure that every student has either a local option, a state option, and a national option for their employment. So when they finish their program, they have options. We hope they stay local, but sometimes they want us to go somewhere else in Florida or somewhere else in the country and maybe come back later. But we want to give our students the options to succeed. And with partnership with the Economic Development Office, as we increase the number of graduates in these programs, we can hopefully attract new employers to the area.
That's awesome. Have you had any specific examples or instances of a manufacturer or an employer coming to one of you and saying, I'm desperate for employee type X, and can the schools help me with that?
Yes, we've had, we've talked to more than one employer who was thrilled about our new advanced manufacturing program, talked about their labor needs, and they're wondering how they're going to meet their labor shortfall. And so if that's one company, mentioned that, and after we reached out to them, you can only imagine there's many more out there. And why our Charlotte County being, adaptable and meeting the needs of the economy and also the growing needs nationally. Manufacturing is growing in our country. The need for people to operate these advanced manufacturing machines and facilities is growing, and definitely the need for semiconductor production. Florida is one of the leaders in the nation for semiconductor production. The last time I heard, we were 5th in the nation for semiconductor production, but there are no semiconductor facilities in Southwest Florida right now, or yet. But we don't have the workforce right now to entice that, but we will. And by developing the programs we have, we consulted semiconductor experts in the industry, also in partnership with the Florida Semiconductor Institute, we are developing the curriculum and the talent to attract semiconductor companies to our area. The advanced manufacturing programs at Port Charlotte High and Charlotte Tech will prepare a person for 80% of the skills needed for a semiconductor facility to be a technician in one of those facilities. And many of these facilities have very expensive machine equipment, you name it. Some of these things can cost over $1 billion. Any company coming into the area with equipment like that, they're going to have their own training protocol. But our students will have the baseline foundation so that an employer then can finish a job for their training. So we want to create an environment where Charlotte County can participate in that semiconductor rush, throughout the country. But we need to have the workforce, and it's going to take time. But we're laying that foundation. For Port Charlotte High, we received a $600,000 grant for Port Charlotte High, and we're working on that lab right now as we speak. We received an $800,000 grant for Charlotte Technical College for advanced manufacturing, and just on Monday we received word from the state that we'll be receiving a $1.75 million state appropriation for our advanced manufacturing facility over by the airport.
That's incredible. Congratulations.
We also have another a real-time business that was attracted to our area, and that's NAS MRO. They do maintenance, repair, and overhaul, and because of our AMP program that CTC had launched and continues to expand, they decided to come here to Charlotte County.
Smart decision, in my opinion.
It's 100 jobs, about $75,000 to start in their new position.
And
so we're really excited about that.
The Charlotte Tech Aviation program right now, for the first time, has a wait list for new students that want to join that program.
That's awesome.
And so as we move into our new hangar that's being built at the airport, one of our 2 new hangars being built, we will then be able to grow and add capacity and have more students in the area. So word will get out that we're producing that talent, and hopefully companies will see that and see
Mhm.
Charlotte County as an attractive place to expand or relocate their business.
Lovely.
What is the current graduation size versus what you would like, or what you envision is the ideal amount?
Typically for the aviation program now, we're looking at about 30 to 40 graduates per year.
Wow.
I would like to double or triple that over the next several years. It's going to take some time. I also believe in growing controlled, not too fast. We want, because the most important thing of all these programs is quality. Quality. Our students need to be highly trained. So when employers see our graduates, they know they are ready for the workforce and they're ready for the help meet their workforce needs.
Right.
And especially with our advanced manufacturing programs we're building, we've already purchased some equipment for it, but going forward, all future equipment will be purchased will be based off of the needs of the local industry. And they will tell us what we need to purchase. I'm not an expert in manufacturing, but we have people who are experts, and we want to make sure that our students graduate with the skills needs they can walk right into the job of their facilities.
That's awesome.
Good.
So we talked about how you determine programs based on business needs, but I'm sure there are other factors that go into that decision. So can you tell me a little bit about, I know we've discussed before retiring programs that don't seem to be beneficial, or, how do you come to those decisions?
So when it comes to new programs, the close partnership with the Economic Development Office and also state initiatives, especially through Space Florida, Florida Semiconductor Institute. When it comes to either sunsetting a program or scaling it back a program, it's the same thing. You talk to the same partners and say, where is the economic need? And there's a balance between student interest, economic growth. Gone are the days where a program is built or exists just to meet the needs of a school, because it's a fun class to have. We want our programs to be fun and exciting, but also result in a high-paying job.
Right.
There's an opportunity cost. So we only have so many teachers, so many classrooms, so much space, so many resources, and any program we have that doesn't help grow the economy, it takes away a spot of a program that could. And so it's real important that we evaluate what we currently have. It doesn't necessarily mean eliminating a program. Maybe you scale it back. So think of back when you're in high school, you may have had a 7-period day. Your teacher teaches 6 out of 7 periods. Maybe a program, if we want to scale it back, goes from a 6-period schedule to maybe a 2 or 3-period schedule. We still have it, but not at that same level. But then we have room now for a new program to come in and help grow and I'd say drive the economy. It's all about jobs, helping our students get those high-paying jobs. They're with us for 13 years. Every student is given the opportunity. It's called Choosing Your E. We have the career planning guide where it's employed, enlisted, or enrolled. And then they have a checklist that corresponds with that particular E they chose. They can change their mind as many times. But with those 13 years, K through 12, the students are in our school system. We want to make sure they have a good return on investment so they can walk away with their E. They want to go right to college, they want to go into the workforce, or they want to join the armed forces.
So you guys recently won an award for that, if I'm not mistaken, in marketing. You won 3 marketing awards from the state. From what I saw, I mean, that's pretty impressive, I think.
Yeah, and if you go to our district website or our social media accounts, you'll see videos that are like Hollywood caliber produced, and that's a team of 3 people there who produce those videos.
Lovely.
They do an outstanding job. And a challenge for schools is sharing the great things that are going on. We have great people in Charlotte County, great students, a great community, and they're highlighting what the great things that are already going on, have been going on for years, but now we're doing a better job of making sure we get the word out there. That's so important for everybody to know what's going on, because these great programs, we want to make sure everybody knows about them. Yeah. And so, and also if you're in a surrounding county and you're thinking, oh, I really want to do that aviation program or the manufacturing program or the new cybersecurity program at Lemon Bay, you can do that. You can transfer into Charlotte County. We have a magnet program. We have a magnet expo we have every winter where families can sign up and then get accepted into these programs. So even if you're not even within the Charlotte County Public School System, you can still participate in these programs and still have your children be on a pathway to a high-paying career.
Yeah, that's amazing. All right, let's move a little bit on to workforce needs. So from the employer side, what do you think you're hearing the most of in terms of shortage in the aviation? What are they saying they're missing, or, health or logistics?
Well, definitely in the area of aviation, we hear technicians. There's an abundance of need there. Probably about 6 years ago, when we surveyed our aviation companies out at the airport area, they had relayed the message to us that they could probably double their size if they just had staff. And we discovered that it wasn't just here locally, it was across the state of Florida, as well as nationally and internationally. It's a big problem all over the world. So that's when we started the wheels turning and partnering up with the school district to make that happen. Automated manufacturing is absolutely, there's an abundance of businesses that are moving in that direction because they are having difficult time finding skilled employees. So they are investing in automated manufacturing. A lot of people think, oh my gosh, it's stealing jobs away from people. Well, actually not. It's helping to elevate the employees that are actually working in these manufacturing places, and bringing them up, giving them a higher salary, training them in higher skills. So I see it's a win-win all the way around. In the healthcare industry, we are looking to grow our healthcare industry as far as medical manufacturing. We don't have a lot of businesses in that area, but we'd like to improve that.
Sounds like a good goal.
I'd like to add to that, with advanced manufacturing or any manufacturing jobs, the nationwide data shows that for every manufacturing job you have, 8 jobs are created with that job, whether it be the logistics, people transporting, shipping things back and forth, the management of that facility, also the other things like, restaurants, hotels, things that got to support that. So it's a great decision by our local economic office to have the focus on advanced manufacturing. And also with aviation and manufacturing, we have middle school exploration programs for both those programs. And we have a high school program and the post-secondary option. And with NASA, a new employer coming to the area with 100 full-time jobs, some of those jobs will require the FAA airframe power plant mechanic license. Some won't. So some of our students from Charlotte High School will be able to go directly to work for NASA, whether it be an on-the-job work-based learning, their senior year of high school or junior year of high school, or when they graduate and then go right to working for them. They don't have to go all the way to the post-secondary route. Our students can get jobs in high school and go right into the workforce. And then not to leave out the West County, Lemon Bay High School is having a brand new cybersecurity program. And guess what? We have a middle school feeder program into that one, and we have a post-secondary program as well for cybersecurity.
So can you tell me a little bit about how unique that is, the feeder program in middle school? Because I'm not from here and I really don't recall having those types of programs. And I feel like I lucked out when I moved here. But I'm just curious if this is something that's unique to Florida, unique to Charlotte County, or,
Yeah, the younger you go, the more it's about exploration. Students as young as kindergarten next year will hear about the 3 E's. Now, we're not going to have a kindergartner sign up for the Army, but they'll know those options exist. They'll be in our DNA. And as you get older, you start getting a little more serious and maybe start picking a career. What's nice about middle school and high school, a student can choose, hey, I want to do aviation, do it for a year and realize, nope, that's not for me, or I really want to do this, I'm all in.
Yeah.
The state of Florida did some research a couple of years ago. They looked at all the career and tech ed programs in the state. And they filtered out the students who completed 3 or more courses within that program. So the students are really interested in those programs. Out of all those programs, the program that had the lowest high school graduation rate had a high school graduation rate of 95%, which is unbelievable.
Wow.
So show students who are interested. We do the feeder, go back into the feeder model. I think of it like sports. So if you really like football, I used to coach football. You might play in middle school, Pop Warner, or if you were middle school as a football team. And then you get better, and you go to high school. There's your high school team. You get better. You want to go to college. There's that team, and then in pro, you get hired at a job. And so, the more options they have to get better, to find their craft, because these feeder programs, they're not just about exploration. It's about making you better, giving you higher skills. So if a student is in a middle school advanced manufacturing class or an aviation class, and the middle school aviation class is right next to the hangar at Charlotte High School. They could walk to that hangar and have full access to it. But think about a person who started in 7th grade in aviation, maintenance, or manufacturing. 7th grade, 8th grade experience, plus 4 years of high school. They graduate high school with 6 years experience. So our local employer will see they have 6 years experience. That stuff takes time. You're not going to get a student with 6 years experience in 1 year.
Right.
But you think of like 4 or 5, 6 years from now, our 7th graders today, when they graduate, they'll have that experience and they want to go into our post-secondary program at Charlotte Tech. They're going to have even more experience, which makes that program better. We're laying the foundation so we can be top tier, nationally known programs. So employers know for aviation, advanced manufacturing, and cybersecurity, Charlotte County is a place to go to move your business because we're developing that talent pipeline, which will take us years to build. Will put us in position to be top tier in the country.
Yeah, well, that excites me because I have a 4th grader, so I'm thinking pilot or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm joking. I don't care anything, but yeah, that's very exciting for the parents in Charlotte County. In terms of the businesses, how else are they partnering with the schools? I know we discussed some things, but are there different ways? Like, are you doing internships with any businesses specifically, or anything unique?
Yeah, there's multiple ways a business can partner with the school district. And I'll start out with saying the thing we request the least is money. Yes, of course we love money. Of course we do. We all have limited resources. The best thing a business can do is tell us what skills our students need to be successful. That's the best thing they can do. And then if they're more interested, if they're able to hire students for work-based learning or on-the-job training, I think both benefit. The student benefits because they get real-world experience. Nothing beats the real world. I'll give an example. We have a new employer to the area, which assembles barricades, which require electrical box. And we have electricity students at Charlotte Technical College. We're partnering with that employer, so our students will learn to assemble those electrical boxes for those barricades. So our students win because they're getting real world experience for an employer who's going to take that product and sell it. And then the employer benefits because they're getting potential students who they can hire who have experience working on their products. So everybody wins, and we want to make sure those local employers are successful. So that's those real world experience. That's where everybody wins. A wise person said a few years ago, I heard we were at it was a foundation meeting in a different area, and they had the companies that were awarded or recognized at that foundation meeting for their support of education. And the speaker made a comment. He goes, look, all these companies here who are supporting education, you notice they're all very, very successful companies. There's a direct relationship between companies that are involved in education, support education, and also companies that are very, very successful.
Right.
So not only are they helping us out as a school district, I think it's in their long-term interest to be connected to the school district because together we can grow our programs and we can help them grow their organization so everybody can be successful. And ultimately, Charlotte County wins. And we have high-paying jobs, nicer roads, nicer schools, everything that comes along with quality of life that comes with having that talent, that workforce.
Another thing that Dr. Granstra didn't really go into is that these businesses can join their advisory councils or committees. They can be on the school board. They can really be involved in the school. And then the reverse is true is Dr. Granstra and the people that work for the school district, they can be a part of the business community through our Economic Development Partnership Group and other organizations. We're constantly working with each other just about every day in a lot of cases, and if not every day, every week or month.
It comes down to relationships, and that doesn't cost any money.
All the time. Everything we go to, it's funny because people are afraid of AI and all these things, but what you keep hearing over and over again is that it's relationship building. So
yes, and to have those advisory board meetings and to have it at the classroom. We have an advanced manufacturing advisory board meeting for Charlotte Tech. We're not going to have it at our main campus. We're going to have it in the classroom where the advanced manufacturing takes place. We can see the machine, but you build those relationships. It doesn't cost any money. It just costs time. And so can tell us what we need to do to help your organization be successful so our students can graduate and be ready. And then, like I said, the next thing is work-based learning, and everybody wins at work-based learning. And as a community, we grow, the quality of life will increase, and everybody wins.
And our kids stay around.
Yeah, that's my biggest concern is I want my kids to have a choice to stay here. And I appreciate everything we're doing to give them choices.
It's a great conduit for them.
Well, one of the challenges that many communities in the United States are facing is housing. And so if a person already is here, that organization doesn't worry about finding an employee somewhere else in the country than helping them find a place to live. They already are here. They're already living here somewhere. So now we have to do is develop their talent. And there's two groups of people. We have our K through 12 students who are building up, going through the pipeline. They graduate high school and they have their skills. And then you have your adults, maybe they're at 18, 19, they want to go, or maybe you have older adults who want to reskill. They want to change professions and have that opportunity. We start getting a bunch of new advanced manufacturing facilities. You might have some adults say, hey, I want a part of that action. And they can join our program at Charlotte Tech, which is only 6 months long, and then walk out being ready and certified for advanced manufacturing.
Right. Didn't I see an article about how it was the first CTC had its first graduating class of adult electricians?
Yes,
Yeah,
that is
I
correct.
thought that was so cool. Yeah, did you know? I didn't know if you
Mhm.
knew about that. I saw that in the paper and was so impressed.
And we have amazing teachers, in the hands-on skill and real-world experience. And with everything with career and tech ed, we're really been blessed with these great facilities, and we're building new facilities. We're going to be state of the art, but it all comes down to the instructor. And everything we do is about supporting the instructor, developing the instructor, helping our teachers be the best they can. I'm a big believer in professional development, professional learning for our instructors. And whether that means they have the resources they can learn on their own, they either go to a conference to learn about their trade. I think one of the best things a teacher can do is to visit another successful teacher within the state, which then is a very low cost way to really up a teacher, their skill set. It only costs you a tank of gas, maybe a meal, and then they can learn from the best in the state. And so part of our exploration for our new programs, before we launched our Charlotte High School program, I went and visited 3 high school programs in the state, 3 top tier programs,
Nice.
and see what are they doing in the state. And one program we visited, I think, may be one of the top career and tech ed programs in the nation.
Wow.
And so we're learning what they're doing, learning how they're being successful, and trying to bring that to Charlotte County. So then one day we can be the best in the country.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So if a business is listening to this right now and says, I have a need, what is the best way for them to get, to one of you, or what's the route that you would recommend for a business to express what they need?
Well, certainly they can contact anybody at any time, but we have a business retention and expansion program. So we go out to businesses and we actually survey them and find out what their needs are. From there, we have a network of partners within the community, and then we reach out, such as Dr. Granstra.
Okay. All right. What's your take on how prepared our students are for the workforce right now, today, as we stand?
There's room for growth. I think it depends. And so with every program, you're going to have variation depending on the student's interest level, their talent level, the skills they acquire. And we want to make it so our average student meets or exceeds what our local employers need, and make it so every student has the ability to be successful. One of the things we say in Charlotte County is career and tech ed, or CTE for all. We think there's something for everybody there to be successful, and everyone who wants a job out of high school should have the opportunity to get that job. There are programs now where students can walk away and make a lot of money right out of high school. The cybersecurity program that we're launching at Lennon Bay High School, the average pay for the career code that's been identified by the Florida Department of Education for cybersecurity in Florida is $75,000 per year. That's the average pay. Now, we have to stress to people that means average. Some will make, half will make less, half will make more. And when you're right out of high school, you probably won't be making the average, but you could be on a track to that. But then some students, the superstars, may make more than that,
right?
And have those success stories.
Yeah.
And how do we get the best? How do we make sure our students know they have the skills to be ready? Well, one thing I'm a big believer is in competitions. And so with our advanced manufacturing program, our students will participate in Skills USA, the way they can compete against other students in the country. Our aviation students, the name of the competition is off, I forgot off the top of my head, but they competed in the competition in Palm Beach County, recently, and did very well. But that's a way for students to, and also develop those soft skills, which employers say that students desperately need. Soft skills or employability skills, whatever you want to call it. But that is just as important as the technical skills. And so making sure our students meet the needs of the workforce, and the ultimate measure of success for a program is what the employers say. If we're doing everything right, they're getting jobs. That program I mentioned that I think is one of the top in the country, they had about 40 seniors, high school seniors, graduate that program. All of them got jobs. They had 100% job placement for the last 5 years. I want that for Charlotte County for our programs.
Do we have numbers like that for our programs, or
We do. So we keep track of it for our technical college program. So all the programs at Charlotte Technical College must by our accreditation standards. So there's different levels of accreditation, different organizations. The one that Charlotte Technical College has is called the Council on Occupational Education. That's the most rigorous accreditation for a technical college that there is. They mandate that you have 70% verifiable placements for students upon graduation. Now, what's a placement? It's either a job or you're continuing your education somewhere else that continues. So maybe you continue through a 2 or 4 year degree, because our students who graduate Charlotte Technical College, their industry certifications will qualify for college credits. So the aviation program, you may get up to 40 college credits from those certs towards an aviation maintenance associate's or bachelor's degree. And so we are required to keep those programs open to have at least 70% placement for all those students. And so those programs are all much higher than 70%, often in the 90s or up. And it fluctuates. It's hard to keep 100% long term through variations in your student population, but they're often very, very high. And I look at it also the number of, do you want 100% of students that want a job get a job? And often that's the case. Sometimes students aren't placed because maybe they went through a program, they decide something else, who knows what. But do you want 100% of students that want a job and they finish the program, are they able to get a job? To me, that's the most important measure.
Yeah.
And they're getting jobs.
Good. That makes sense. You touched on it a little bit, but how does the relationship between CTC, for example, and the university, the FSW, FGCU, do you guys partner together to say, well, CTC is going to provide the base, and then they offer programs? So to the point that you were saying, the feeder program starting in middle school, it goes beyond CTC.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I don't view us as in competition. We're all a partnership. We're all together. The goal is to grow the economy of Charlotte County and have high-paying jobs available for our citizens here. And so I talk regularly with FSW. They're the great people there. They have excellent programs, and some of our programs feed into it. And the visual I like to give people is picture an interstate highway. Interstate highway, I-75. There's different on-ramps and off-ramps. And maybe a student's on-ramp.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah, and their on-ramp could be middle school, an exploration class. They learn about it, and they continue. They go to high school. They like it. They can stay on that road. They can get off the road. If it's not for them, gets whatever. And then they can go on to post-secondary at Charlotte Tech. They want to keep going there. They like it. Maybe go to FSW. But then again, you can always skip Charlotte Tech and go to FSW depending on your thing. But the key is make sure our students and our families know that they have options. And that's called a program of study. I just highlighted there. That's a fancy term for the highway described. A shameless plug for our website. If you go to the Charlotte County Public Schools website, yourcharlotteschools.net, and find the career and technical education website within there, which is pretty easy to find, you'll see in there what's called a CTE guide we've created. We have last year's up there. This year's is being developed right now. It has all of our career and tech ed programs. It has the middle school options, the high school options, post-secondary options, locally and throughout the state. And parents can know what programs are available, and also salary information for all those jobs. It's all there for available for them, so they don't have to do the research. We did it for them. So students have the options what they want to do. That's to give the students the options. And if they're in a program for several years, they should know about those options and be able to decide what's best for them. What do they want to do? They want to make money right out of high school, or do they want to continue their studies? And really, it depends on the career and the student. Cybersecurity, you can go all the way to get a PhD in that. Wow. But also you could go right out of high school and make big bucks. I know lots of people who have a high school background or an associate's in cybersecurity or network system administration, and they're making 6 figures. And so that's not uncommon. But students, the more they know about their field, the more they'll know how to be successful in that field. Part of our career planning guide, our students have an account with a website called Xello, Xello. It's our statewide career-based exploration platform. Most districts do the required part. You have to do 1 grade in middle school. We do it K through 12 now in Charlotte County for career exploration. One of my favorite courses in Xello that students take is called Career Demand. They take that in 11th grade in Xello, where they learn how to study and determine, does a career have a high demand in Florida and in the area? So that way they don't go to college for 4 years and they accumulate all this debt for a job that may not have high demand.
Basket weaving, for example.
Well, the example I give is a dolphin trainer. If you want to be a dolphin trainer in Florida, where can you be? You can be at SeaWorld, okay? Maybe a few places along the coast. That's about it. But we definitely don't need to have 500 dolphin trainers every year being trained in Florida. So exploring career, now that's an extreme example, but knowing that career demand and learning how to do that on your own, that way you're not lured in by maybe a salesperson trying to get you into a program that maybe there isn't demand for the output. Because you're going to spend 2, 3, 4 years of your life in the program. You need to know how much that program's going to cost. You also know what are the odds of you getting a job when you graduate.
Right, right. Well, I think that a stigma with technical schools is over for Charlotte County. Our goal was to make it first choice, and I think that a lot of our younger adults have made it their first choice, and I think that the numbers are proving that. Yeah. Another hurdle has been lab space and equipment, modern equipment. And I think that Dr. Granstra and his team have taken care of that problem as well. And then the third hurdle was really the salaries of instructors, to attract top talent to be these instructors. And I think that just the location is great for any instructor to come to Charlotte County. The quality of life here is just absolutely beautiful. However, they are confined in a certain, I guess, niche area where you can only pay technical college instructors a certain range. So we're still trying to figure that one out. But I think that they've done a marvelous job overcoming those other hurdles. Yeah.
And those hurdles are nationwide.
Yeah.
You know, equipment, resources, teachers. And we have some amazing teachers in our program. I've had the pleasure of getting to meet and know over the last couple of years. And they could be making a lot more money in the field, but they chose to be educators. You know, they have many different reasons for doing it, but we're glad they did. And that's what makes the difference. In this, you know, in that top program I mentioned, I think it's somewhere else in the state, who I feel is one of the best in the country. 10 years ago, they had very little resources, but they had a great teacher, and he had a vision to help grow that program to be one of the top in the country. Yes, and so we can do it. We have our community is behind it, you know, and I like to go back to sports again, you know, and we have our various
not
analogies.
that you like sports or anything.
No, absolutely not. And so when you think of so you have a new football coach, you know, and you probably are not going to go to the Super Bowl in year one. You could. I mean, the fans would sure be happy, but more than likely it's going to take you a few years to build that program up. Thankfully, in Charlotte County, we've had a pretty good foundation laid already for us. So we're not starting from scratch. We have really good people here. Some great work has been done in the past, and we couldn't be where we are now without the great people of the past. But so I'm thinking, okay, for these new programs, year 1, 2, and 3, let's be good. Let's be really good. Years 4, 5, and 6, we're going for the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
okay?
Right.
And so, and that's what it takes. But you have to have that mindset.
Yeah.
You know, the high expectations. And it comes down to teachers. So the new instructor we hired for advanced manufacturing, top tier teacher. New instructor for Charlotte High Aviation, top tier teacher. And when it comes to picking a teacher, and this is good for anyone in this role, there's 2 areas you can look at. Somebody who has, you know, maybe decades of experience in the field. They're an expert in the field, but have very little teaching experience. I mean, by teaching experience, teaching of kids, K-12. Teaching adults and kids are very, very different. And also, even teaching adults, teaching 18, 19-year-olds is very different than teaching people in their 30s and 40s.
Right.
And then you got people who are veteran teachers, who are experts at teaching kids, but may not be an expert in that field, but are smart people and quick to learn. You know, having taught every subject there is, you know, I'm certified in math, science, social studies, and English.
Wow.
And I've taught all 4 of those subjects.
Impressive.
Also, you taught GD classes as well. I can tell you the easiest part for me teaching was the content. The hard part is teaching somebody else who doesn't understand it, how to get to a mastery level of that content. Yeah. That's where the challenge is. So when given the choice, if I have a really good, passionate teacher who cares about their students and wants that program to excel, that's the one I want to go with, because I know they're going to do what it takes to make our students be successful and learn those skills. And then if there's any kind of like technical piece the teacher's going to know, that's okay. That's where the business partners come in. They can help us out. What are we lacking here? What do we need? Or do I need to send a teacher to a training somewhere in the state? Right. Or to shadow another teacher in the state to become better? And so the teacher is everything. And we have great teachers here in Charlotte County. We'll keep that up. We have to keep training them and making the best they can be. Because let's say we win the Super Bowl, one of our programs I mentioned earlier, we're going to keep on getting better and better and better. so no one else can catch up to us. That way we can always be the best.
Yeah, I
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
That kind of leads me into the next question, which is, if you had, and this is for both of you,
Mhm.
if you had a magic wand to fix one barrier that you feel exists, what would it be? Funding, awareness, perception?
If I had a magic wand, well, of course, we all would love more money. In terms of being able to attract teachers, I would love it if there was a way to have it so teachers who teach a particular field can make the same average salary as people in that field as well.
Oh, yeah.
And so that might be living in a dream world. I also like the awareness. So CTE for all, CTE for all. So your highest performing students and students that struggle. So let's say you have a student who is maybe planning on going to a top tier university, Ivy League school, or top school in Florida. What does career and tech ed mean for them? Okay, well, last fall I went and visited the University of Florida. I was part of the Florida Semiconductor Institute meeting they had, and I got to meet some of their PhD students who are developing semiconductors at the University of Florida. They get to work in their $50 million clean lab they have there, where they produce semiconductors and they do the fabrication, they have the wafers and everything.
Mhm.
Imagine the advantage a student would have in semiconductor production if they were in a high school advanced manufacturing program where they learn many of the same skill sets which train you to work in a semiconductor facility. Now, these students weren't trained to be a technician in the field, but they would have that skill set to help with designing a semiconductor facility. So that's a top tier student who would be making oodles of money. Imagine the advantage they would have if they knew, oh, I like semiconductors. I'm planning to go to the University of Florida semiconductor program, which is a top tier program. I can study as early as 6th and 7th grade, learning about manufacturing and how that process works. And so, we won't build a clean room in Charlotte County. The average base cost for a clean room is about $1,800 per square foot.
Oh
So
my
you picture
Lord. So we
a
can
foot.
make one this big, maybe?
Yeah, that's $1,800. That's it. But you don't have to, because we're teaching the standard, we're teaching the skill. So we can do a simulated clean room. We can do a different grade. We can do virtual reality called digital twins. University of Florida has a program. They've taken their clean room at the University of Florida and made a digital version of it. So you put on VR goggles and you can walk through the lab yourself. And so,
Technology is
yeah,
beautiful.
there are options out there. But picturing that, there's one example of a student who wants to go into semiconductor, maybe get their PhD in it, where they can start as early as 6th grade and get that foundational knowledge. Same thing happens in aerospace. Same thing happens in cybersecurity. I didn't even touch on medical. We have the medical programs. There are many students who went on to be doctors who did a high school career and tech ed program. So imagine if you were to do anatomy learning knowledge in high school before you even went to college, before you got to bachelor's or went to med school or residency. You have that foundational skills. You could walk away being a CNA or an LPN, in high school or early graduation, and have that knowledge, maybe have a job to work through while in college, or just have that base knowledge. So
It's a great career anyway.
you're farther ahead than other students. And so CTE for all means for everybody. And we want to make sure those who struggle, like say students who have maybe a learning disability, who may have struggled with reading comprehension, sometimes they excel the most at CTE courses because these are all hands-on learning. Yeah, it's hands-on.
Right.
I think of automotive, so the aviation, or you have students with intellectual disabilities. We're in the process of writing a grant for students with intellectual disabilities to be successful in post-secondary programs, and we'll get that grant, and it'll pay for the students that will go for a full ride, and plus have additional support so they can be successful. So
awesome.
we want to make sure every student that wants to do this can do it.
It's wonderful. I think for me, it's the awareness component. I think that the workforce needs to be aware that there's an opportunity here to pick up a trade through the technical college, as well as for businesses. Businesses need to understand really that we have a gem here. This is a wonderful opportunity for them to get skilled workforce, and their systems that they're utilizing in their workshops can be part of the programming that CTC delivers. So I just think that awareness would be my
I agree with you, because I think just from my perspective, moving here, I lucked out. I'll be honest with you. I really got lucky moving here. I didn't really do the research. I just followed my parents and assumed that if they were okay, I'd be fine. But how lucky was I Again, I have 3 kids in the school system. I'm very hopeful for their futures,
Mhm.
but I don't know that other people who have even lived here their whole lives know. I've had many conversations with people about the school, and they're surprised to hear me say how much I love it and how happy I am and how excited I am. And then when I start telling them about all these programs, they're like, I didn't know that. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. So I
Yeah.
agree 100%. And that's why I know
Right.
here we've made an effort to share everything that's going on with the schools and programs and success stories so that people can be aware. So I
Yeah.
totally agree with you.
Another anomaly, really, for a community is to have everybody lined up. The school district, the local school district, with the state college, and so the local school district and the technical college, and then you moving on to the state college, and then on to the university level. Everybody gets along well. Everybody talks about what they're doing and sharing information and working together, so that there could be bridge programs that go from the technical college to the state college, and then beyond. So some people aren't geared where they just go from high school to university. They're just not geared that way. So this is a great opportunity for each student.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I'm very excited for my kids. I didn't think I'd be saying that, but I mean, it's just amazing all the choices. So.
And by the time people see this recording of this podcast, I'm assuming they're not watching live. And so our school district grades will be out. They're not out right now. Right now it's July 2nd at 2:00. They have not been released, but when they do get released, we're very confident that our scores will be much higher than they were last year and much higher the year before.
That's great.
I can't guarantee what grade will be, but all the indicators are trending upwards.
Beautiful.
And so you think of like a cruise ship or a freighter going to the ocean, to turn that ship and get it in the right direction. Now we're going the right direction and where we want to be. It may take some time, but we're in that trajectory. We're getting better. We're increasing our ranking in the state.
What do you attribute that to? I mean, I know we've talked about a lot of different things. I have a feeling you're going to say teachers.
A lot of people. Well, the research shows the most important person in a student's life is the teacher in terms of the school system.
Yeah.
The teacher is number one, principal's number two. Our school district we're closely aligning how we do our instructional practices. We're doing research-based instructional strategies for the classroom, so that teachers learn or have evidence, what is the most effective tool and what are the least effective tools for helping students become successful in the classroom. And so research-based strategies, making sure we're all we're talking about the community being aligned. Well, the school system is its own, organization as well. So we have over 16,000 students, 2,500 employees.
Wow.
Making sure they're all on the same page, that could be a challenge.
Right.
Now, I came from a larger school district, over 100,000 students. Charlotte County is about 16,000 students. So in Florida, we're about a small mid area, but gives us an advantage. It's a lot easier to be aligned when you have 21 schools versus 100 plus schools.
Right.
Easier to pivot.
Easier to pivot, and we're not so small that it's hard to do things. We're kind of like that sweet spot.
Yeah.
We're big enough we can do things, but not so big that it can be a challenge. Now, there's some big districts in Florida that have been very successful, in getting aligned. But I see us as a district where people are getting excited, and career and technical education is one of the things they're getting excited about. Everywhere I go, people are hearing about it. We're in the news quite a bit, for this.
I
and
see that all the time.
this publicity is all part of getting the word out, and it's important for everyone in their circle of friends to have those conversations. What's available in the area. And now people often have ideas like, oh, we should have this program, we should have that program. Yeah. And I love all those ideas because I think amongst all of us, the best ideas are out there. We just need to figure it out. Big thing is looking at the data. What is going to drive high-paying jobs? Kay and I were talking earlier. There's some programs that'd be nice to have, and the jobs would be very high-paying, but there's so few jobs out there, and so. Is that worth investing millions and millions of dollars?
Right.
For other programs like manufacturing, aerospace, we could be having 50 to 100 plus students per year graduating and really drive the needle for aviation. We have an airport with land available next to it. That's a commercial airport. Not very many in the country have that opportunity.
Right.
And are poised for growth. Our cost of living in Charlotte County is lower than other parts of Florida. We have that advantage as well, and also we're within 3 hours of every major population center in Florida, with the exception of Jacksonville. But that's all the way out across state. But we have a lot of things going for us here, and it's so important that we all stay aligned together in that vision. And so the workforce is part of it. But I argue You can give an employer all the tax incentives in the world, everything they need, but they don't have the workforce. Why would
Yeah,
they move
right.
to your area?
Exactly right. It's become number one in the selection of any site is their workforce.
I was at the Florida Chamber Foundation Summit last week, and that was the biggest takeaway. They said, you know, the incentives are no longer the first thing, it's talent. Like, what's the workforce like before they even consider incentives? So, very interesting to see that shift.
Yeah. And you think of our talent, we will graduate about 1,000 to 1,200 high school seniors a year. There's your talent pool.
Yeah.
Now, some are going to go to college.
Right.
Some are going to enlist or join the military one way or another. And the rest are going to, you know, join the workforce.
Right.
And how can we get those students who want to join the workforce in those high-paying jobs? That takes time, you know, because, you know, whatever the previous experience, we know they're not all graduating and going to high-paying jobs. So how do we get it so the students that do want to go, that they during their E is employed, how do we get them all on a path to a high-paying job? And that's those checklists I talked about earlier. When they graduate high school, the checklist they need to complete for employed, put on a path to a high-paying job.
Right.
But the sooner they can identify what job they want to do, the higher paying they're going to get.
Yeah, because they start earlier.
Yep.
Right.
To your point, yeah.
Exactly.
So we touched on it a little bit. I know we were talking about, you know, what's the most important thing. What is your feeling on parents being involved, in the sense that I feel as a parent, things have changed so much from when I was a kid in school. Like, what's your view on the family role in education?
Well, the family is such an important role. You know, I mentioned the teacher, you know, with something that school can control, but the family is everything, you know, and the support and staying involved with your child's education and knowing what options are available. Every parent in Charlotte County can access their child's Zello account. They can track what their student's E is. So grades 8 and up, all students should have an E selected. They can see what E they've chosen. They can track their checklist completion. They can see what careers their child is interested in, but have those conversations. You know, many of our students can do really any E they want, you know, and know out there that money's not a barrier. You know, it could be a challenge, but most of the time those challenges can be overcome. You know, we have career specialists who are really good at helping students find scholarships. And with Bright Futures, Pell Grants, scholarships, many of our students should be able to go to college for little or zero debt or out-of-pocket expense. One of the best kept secrets. So let's say a student really wants to go to University of Florida or Florida State, two top-tier universities, but maybe they don't want to pay 4 years of University of Florida tuition rate, which is still very competitive in the country. They can go to Florida Southwestern State College, get their AA degree, Associate in Arts degree, and that guarantees you admission to any Florida university.
Yeah.
You know, automatically, you already have your first 2 years completed.
That's great. Yeah.
And so that's one of those best kept secrets. They can do low-cost classes here, still very high-quality classes, and then go into, you know, the University of Florida, Florida State, or FGCU, you know, you name it. And so don't let no be a barrier, or think, oh, I can't do that, that's not for me. If a student wants to do it, they have the passion, it's amazing what they can do. And we can't offer every career and tech ed program there is out there, because there's like 17 career clusters plus 10 or 15, 20 careers per things. We have 3 high schools with our school system, but we pick and choose the ones we think will give our students the best options and the best return on investment. And so if we have a program, we want to have jobs available for students. And so that's where we line it up with that. But that's the thing. Parents, the more involved they are, the better, and help their child make those decisions. And goes back to career exploration. A kid only knows what they know. You know, if they only see the job their parents have, their parents' friends have, they may not know what's available. Well, this year we had the first ever 8th grade career exploration event for middle schoolers. So every 8th grader in Charlotte County went to the Charlotte Harbor Event Center and participated in a hands-on career fair. And every employer who participated in it, the only rule was they had to have a hands-on activity for students to work on while being at that career fair. And then every high school has a career fair as well too.
Yeah, that's awesome. So where do you see, assuming everything goes the way we're talking, where would you see us in the next, let's say, 10 years? Like, what would success look like to you 10 years from now?
Success from here, 10 years from now, the low-hanging fruit, our current employers are successful and they're able to grow, and we're able to attract several new employers to the area because of our programs. And we know we have a winning formula, because we're going to meet the needs of the workforce needs for our employers to the point where Charlotte County we're going to grow no matter what. So, you know, as Kate mentioned, the population is growing in Charlotte County. We're going to grow no matter what we do. I would like the growth to have high-paying jobs for our citizens and have the opportunities to earn a high-paying job so they can support their family, they can live the lifestyle they want to live, and not have to leave Charlotte County.
I love
So,
that.
yes, success to me is we attract new businesses. I don't want to put a number out there, but we will attract business. It will happen.
Yeah.
Especially with these programs will be top tier programs. We're not going to let these things fail. They're going to be successful programs. Will there be challenges along the road? Of course. Everything has their ups and downs, but these will be successful programs that will draw new employers to the area and hopefully make Kay's job a lot easier in terms of making that sell for Charlotte County. I had the pleasure of joining Kay's team for an expo up in Tampa not too long ago, and just admire the challenges they have to face in terms of selling a company. Why move to Charlotte County? Why move to anywhere? Because that's a major investment for that organization. To me, we want to make the decision as easy as possible. Say, Charlotte County, we got the workforce, we're near the beach, we got the cost of living, it's a quality of life you want, and I think it's going to feed on each other. As we get more aviation companies here and expand in the area, make us more of an aviation hub.
Yeah.
And you go to the east coast of Florida, a lot of times they'll joke, we don't build out, we build up, because they're out of land for many areas. And so we still have land in Charlotte County for room for companies to expand and grow.
Yeah, that's true. What about you? For you, what is success?
I think that if every graduate had an industry credential, graduating high school, I think that would be, or graduating tech school would be a measurement of success.
That's a really, I like that. I agree with you. All right, I think we've done enough serious stuff. Unless, did we forget anything? Is there anything you guys want to add?
We could talk forever about this, so it's probably good to keep it concise. I don't think anybody wants to listen to a 3-hour podcast.
I think that one thing that I wanted to mention, as far as parents influence the choice of the career for the child. I think that they're a big influence in that area. The employer or the business in our community, they give you the real-time experience. They offer that to our residents. And then government or economic development offers the opportunity to remove hurdles when hurdles are in front of us in order to accomplish those things. So that's really my thought on that.
I like that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we're gonna do fun. Just one more minute.
Fun.
I promise we're not gonna.
Fun.
Okay. Well, I think it's fun.
Okay.
What personally excites or motivates you most about the work you're doing right now? Okay, that's not fun, but we'll get to more fun. What personally motivates you?
Oh, motivates me?
Yeah.
I think when you have a shy student that enters a program and then they come out and they have a really successful interview and they land a job and they are making a great wage, that's what motivates me.
Yeah, I like that too. I mean, that motivates me too, obviously.
Yeah.
Because of my kids. But what motivates you to keep going?
I like the idea that the decisions we make today for the better are changing lives of tens and hundreds and maybe thousands of people. For every new business we're able to expand in Charlotte County, those are all those employees and all their families are impacted, for the better. That business, hopefully, for the better. They move to Charlotte County, they don't regret it. They think, wow, this is the best thing we ever did. We should have done this maybe years ago.
Yeah.
And you think of all the lives change forever. And like I said, we're going to grow, but let's grow the way we want to grow in our own terms and every student has the 3 choices for a job: local, state, and national. The ones that want to stay local, let's give them that opportunity. And for me, I graduated high school, and I went to college out of town, and then I got a job 1,500 miles away, so you can see my route. But I had options to go state, local, national, and so give our students those options. We do great programs. Some students are going to leave. That's the nature of it. You look at our top universities in Florida and top universities in the country. People don't they get jobs all around the world. So that's going to happen. The better we get, the more opportunities our students are going to have to get jobs around the country and around the world. That's a good thing. That means we're doing things right. We're not going to keep 100% of our students, but can we keep 100% of our students that want to stay here? And maybe we can convince some students that are thinking, okay, I'll stay here. Right. Or maybe they can at least stay in Florida. So we're still helping the Florida economy, and maybe they'll come back later. But at least they're still in Florida. The better we get, the more opportunities they're going to have. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I like that. All right, now for the fun. Well, okay, I think it's fun. What's your favorite memory or moment working with a business? And I'm going to ask you the same thing with a student.
Wow. My favorite.
The coolest thing that's happened to you working with the business, or your best memory of. I mean, you've had so many 21 years. I mean, I don't even know how you.
I have had a lot of really cool moments, but you know what? For me, I really get excited about when I walk into a manufacturing plant and I see how something's been made.
I've seen it, yeah.
No idea that's what all goes into something, you know. So that really excites me.
I mean, when I taught GD classes, I get a lot of these stories, and so one story that sticks out had a student who was the same age as me within a month. So you always think of like how our life trajectory are different. This student grew up in Romania, grew up under communist rule.
Wow. And
then she was there when it was communist, also when the Cold War ended. She came to the United States basically with zero, but a very motivated, determined person. And this person eventually passed the GD test, went to college, went to grad school, became a physician's assistant, working in emergency departments at hospitals. We nominated her for a state level award. She got it.
Oh, wow.
And just a real success story and how people can be, successful and resilient if you give them the opportunity. And that's what we're doing. We're giving students the opportunity. Many of these students who have these opportunities may not come from the wealthiest families. They may come from families that had a lot of challenges. We want to give them the hope to be successful because we know there's some really smart kids here in Charlotte County and some really motivated people and some good people, and give them the opportunity. So give them the opportunity. We'll clear it out for you. Here's what you got to do, and you can be successful. And so that's going to be, we're going to have more of those stories, and we're going to hear about that. What was nice is you take somebody from poverty, and they're able to, now go to the middle class or upper middle class or just become wealthy, which will happen too.
Breaking that chain.
You break the chain. Now their family now is forever changed. And so we can do that in Charlotte County. We can give lots of families that help, and we're not costing really any more money. We're just using the resources we have smartly to make sure our students are getting the opportunities to be successful.
And one thing that Dr. Granstra did not mention is that it is so much more affordable to go through the technical college programs than it is to go to like a private technical school or equivalent. You get the same education, the same certifications. For example, the A&P program, Embry-Riddle compared to Charlotte Technical College. You're getting the same program. You still have to pass the FAA. And so you're getting a beautiful education for pennies compared to
is it that big of a difference?
Oh, it's huge.
And normally in life, you think of price with quality. If you're looking at cars, looking at houses, TVs, you name it. Education is not the case. And often your best program may be your lowest cost program because your taxpayers support these programs. Your tax dollars support Charlotte Technical College. That's why we're able to keep these programs around $5,000 per year for students.
$5,000 a year.
Which means, and many people in Charlotte County qualify for a Pell Grant, which means they pay zero out of pocket. They can also qualify for Career Source, Bright Futures, scholarships galore. And so it's common for many students to pay zero out of pocket and actually get money back.
Wow. So you're getting paid to go to school?
You're getting paid to go to school.
I want to go back. Can I please be 18 again, please?
Yeah, there are students who every year who their financial aid and scholarship, their total package award is more than what their tuition is. So they get money back. Now that's not money to go to Disney World. That's money to help cover your costs. Books, gas, you name it.
Car payment.
Yeah, so you can go to school.
Do you still get books in college, or now is everything digital?
Digital.
I asked somebody the other day.
But there's some people still like.
There's still a cost.
You still pay for them.
Well, I was curious because I remember distinctly paying like $1,000 for books, and you walk out with this huge.
Of course.
So
and that's four-year college. A tech college. These are all like technical manuals they're working with. Yeah. But the thing is, many of our students will graduate. Not only will they have zero debt, they had zero out of pocket. They're getting a little bit of money back. Now, to still offset your time you did. That's why we got to have really high quality programs. They could be successful and get those high-paying jobs, but we're a great value for many, many people, and it's for everybody. We all know people we went to college with who probably should have gone to a tech college.
Yeah.
Not because they weren't smart enough for university. They're geniuses in other areas. And a good friend of mine, when it comes to working the trades with his hands, genius, blew me away. But he just struggled with college algebra. He could do everything else. But college algebra just was a challenge for him. But you give him anything to do with his hands, anything to do with construction, he was brilliant with it. And then, unfortunately, he had to go through 3 years of college to realize that's not what his skill set would be. But had he gone to a tech college, he would have been making big money way before he was even finished college.
Yeah.
And so that's part of those 3 E's again.
Yeah, I
Those
was
career
gonna ask you about
exploration.
that, yeah.
The earlier you start, and early figure out
Right.
what do you want to do, because you get those. We'll give you those assessments and quizzes. Do you want to work with your hands? Do you want to work outside? Do you want to work with animals? Do you want to work with people? Do you really want to go to college, or do you just want to make what kind of lifestyle you want? And that Zello program helps start that conversation. It's not the end all, but it starts that conversation. So students can identify before it's way in their adulthood. They know this is where I want to be.
Yeah. What do you think is the most misunderstood thing about workforce development? Do people think about workforce development other than us, or?
Oh, wow. I'm going to have to think about that. You go, Brian. Right.
Here, I'll take a take. I think it's one of the most effective and efficient investments a society can make. You can make investments in education. You can make investments in the labor economy or whatever, but this does both. So workforce development, you're helping your school system. You're also helping grow your local economy, which will then generate a higher tax base, which then will help cycle for more investments in workforce development, you name it. And so it's a great investment and a great return on investment. Kay mentioned, the employer NASCOM in the area with potentially 100 full-time jobs, paying potentially $75,000 and up. Okay, we think of the return on investment. That's pretty good return on investment for the airport expansion, and thinking how many years they'll be here. Yeah. And also because of that, we're able to now build a bigger airport campus and have even more graduates, which means more employers will come into the area. And so it's a great, you kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, but it's just a very, very efficient way to help grow the economy.
So do you think most people don't see it that way, that they think investing in education is, not really that important?
Well, it's investing in education, but it's specifically education that develops the workforce. So now my colleagues will be mad if I don't mention everything's important. Education, learning math, science, social studies, reading, those are all important because those all tie together for career and technical education. Every career and technical education program, or every career, those all intertwine, and eventually, and basically, we tie up the bow at the very end. And so, if a student were to go into, say, the aviation program, okay, well, they're going to have to learn science of how various parts work, and material strength and physics. You look at math, there's lots of math involved with aerospace. You look at social studies, they're going to learn about the FAA and how to navigate all that licensure and the history of aviation. And language arts, reading language arts. You're going to have to read very, very technical manuals. You're going to have to also be able to communicate with your employer and with customers. These all come together. And you need to have a high school level minimum to be successful in those areas. And so this all comes part of a strong school system. And with Charlotte County upward trending, getting better at what we do, our students are learning more. They're getting higher math scores, higher reading scores, and that's going to lead to better career and technical education programs.
So he just described the economic ecosystem, and I think you did it beautifully. There's nothing for me to add on that one.
Right, well,
that was great.
One.
Oh boy.
No, it's a fun one.
Okay.
If you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you be like? What's your dream career?
Probably something in the marine industry, like microbiology or something.
Well, you
like
love sailing, right?
Yes.
So that makes sense. You're a water person. My daughter would agree with you. She did the marine program at Lemon Bay.
Cool.
She did Marine Club, and they went to Key West, and oh my God, she loved it. It was just, she was so over the moon. It was so cool.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun to review cruises, cruise ships. And so,
there you go.
Back the marine thing, but that market's saturated with all kinds of people who do that for a living. So I get to enjoy their reviews online and watch them.
Did you not watch the Nightmare Cruise thing on Netflix?
No, I have not.
There was one that got stalled in the middle of the ocean in the Gulf of America now, formerly known as the Gulf of Mexico. So yeah, they stalled out there, and the water started overflowing. So imagine that you were
Oh
going
my.
to the ladies' room in the
Oh
I
my.
mean, it was
Yeah.
gross. I mean, it was, and they had a lot of pictures and video
Oh,
and
no.
interviews with the people. So yeah, I just decided that cruises aren't for me. I thought, you know what, dry land, good. I'm happy. What's your favorite place to eat in Charlotte County?
Lots of good ones. I think
Yeah.
for me, I have a few. So it depends on what I'm after, but I like the Perfect Caper. I like Carmelo's, and I like Sunseeker.
Oh, Sunseeker's
So,
great.
yeah,
Been
yeah.
there. Yeah, it's really nice.
Maurice and it's Sunseeker.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
are my faves.
Definitely, Sunseeker is definitely, one of
Yeah.
my go-to places,
Good.
and I really like. I mean, we actually hired one of their former chefs. Work at Charlotte Technical College there.
Really?
And
Is it
Oh,
teacher?
I forgot.
Yeah.
Charlotte Technical College. They have a
Oh, yeah,
great
Papa G's,
culinary,
yep.
culinary program.
I
I
posted about them, too.
love
Yeah.
doing that for lunch.
Yeah.
And whenever they cater a party,
Mhm.
I'm like,
I
okay,
agree.
I'm
Nope.
going.
Best kept secret in our community.
It's
but yeah,
beautiful.
is,
Oh,
They
sorry,
do-
I'm ruining it because I keep posting about them.
Yeah,
So
They
Well,
do
yeah,
an amazing
you can eat a
job.
low
Papa
cost,
G's.
high quality meal at Papa G's at Charlotte Technical College. So yeah, I like Sunseeker. I also like Pizza Gorda.
Oh,
really, I've
Pizza
never
Gorda
been
is
there.
good
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yes,
I
we'll
like
have to do that.
Farlow's, and I like Twisted Fork. I like the atmosphere at Twisted
Yeah.
Fork because
Yeah.
it's just fun, and I like the bikes and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are
Farlow's
mine.
is very good too.
Farlow's is very good. I like
Mhm.
that a lot. Yeah. What's
Twisted Fork too. I
Yeah,
don't want
yeah.
to keep
We love
anybody out.
everybody
Yeah.
equally. Yes. What's your go-to way to have fun in Charlotte County?
Oh, okay. And you know what? I really love Babcock Ranch's swamp buggy tours.
Oh, the eco tour.
I love
I
that.
haven't done it
Oh,
yet.
it's so much fun.
I know.
Yeah.
I want to do it so bad. Yeah. What about you, Dr. G?
Favorite thing to do in Charlotte County. Well, I do love Babcock. I live out there. I just love drive around the golf cart and enjoying the scenery and the
Yeah,
calmness of it.
yeah.
To me,
Solar panel.
solar panel. Well, it feels
Tour.
like a Disney resort there.
Does it really? I've never been in Babcock Ranch.
And so,
Yeah.
when we
We'll
first
get you out there.
we were looking for a home and we drove out there the first time, several years ago. Like, ooh, this feels like a Disney resort. And so, and at that time, the prices there were compared to other places we're looking at. And so,
Not anymore.
not anymore. Yeah, that we lucked out.
Wow.
And so, but we really, like it there, and just Sid Kitson and his team did a wonderful job, developing
They did.
it. And so, that's one of those things. We try to attract new employers to the area from out of town. It's like, hey, here's also a modern
Yeah.
community, solar powered. That's, I don't want to say hurricane proof, but there seems to be that way the last few hurricanes.
Right.
And so, very hurricane resilient. And so, it's a neat modern place for people to live. Options along with living next to the water or other places in Charlotte County.
All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about or add?
Oh, I think we covered the world, didn't we?
Yeah. Do you feel like we missed
Spanning
anything
the
in terms
globe.
of the programs or anything?
Well, if anyone made it to this far, an hour and a half into the podcast,
Is that how long
yeah,
it's been?
and hopefully
I
have,
think so.
yeah. So, if they made it this far, if they skip to the end, Charlotte County is open for business, and
And cleared for takeoff.
clear for takeoff.
Yeah.
But you look at us now, it says 2025, July 2nd, and look at us 3, 5, 10 years from now, and you'll see the growth that's going to happen, and the high-paying jobs. These will happen, and so I'm very confident that will happen. Even if things external to Charlotte County happen, we're still going to outperform our peers in the area. We're going to develop that long-term strategy so people will have a high quality of life, they prosper, and make things be successful in Charlotte County.
Yeah, I love that. So,
And Charlotte County is, like I mentioned, is growing exponentially right now, and there's a lot of good things coming down the pipe that we can't talk about right now, but in 3 to 5 years, very, very, very exciting. And lots of opportunities coming this way.
awesome. Well, that's all exciting stuff. And until next time.
Thank you.